All right, this week on Star Wars Sucks, we are going 21 years back, talking about the Clone Wars 2D micro series and the latest episode of the Acolyte. And we're on the road. All right, stay tuned. Stick around. We're going to do the thing while I find our music.
As soon as he finds the button.
Find the button. Here we go. We're going to stick a lot of stuff in post. There's a lot of things. So, welcome to Star Wars Sucks, your non-talking. Oh my God, it's on Luke! Shut up! It is not. All right. I think I had it on loop.
That's all right.
All right, well, anyway, welcome to Star Wars Sucks, your non-toxic, low-sodium Star Wars podcast. Hello. And your Star Wars safe place. We are the Circle of Nerds, and this week we are going to be talking about the very, very cool fan edit of the Clone Wars micro series. But before we do that, let's meet the Circle of Nerds. To my left, your right, it is the sensational Sherry.
Woo! Hello, everyone.
And from the Outer Rim territories of Bostoween, Daddy Louie.
Hello, children.
Who is hosting us in his own home today.
Right, welcome to Boston.
We are
in the Outer Rim territory.
Yeah, we're all in Bostoween today for this week. We're going to be going to Fan Expo tomorrow. Well, today, when you listen to this, it's Saturday or whenever. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. And hailing from parts unknown, it is T to the Oni.
Hello, everybody.
Tony.
Welcome back to the Galaxy.
And Gary, I got nothing. This guy. Right here.
Late
He's
shower.
a guest.
Yeah.
He's a late shower.
He has a death sentence on 12 systems, and he's not afraid to talk about it.
What am I, some death sticks?
All right, we'll be careful. No, you're not going to... You have the death sentence on 12 systems? Okay, I'll be careful.
You get a bite of death sticks?
No, it's not the death sticks, guy!
You'll be dead!
Thank you! Okay, I'll be careful.
You'll be
Dead.
dead!
All right, thank you. So anyway, oh my God. And I'm Tommy D. Okay. So we just watched the Clone Wars 2D micro series, the fan edit. The original one debuted on Cartoon Network back in 2003, 21 years ago. It still holds up.
I thought it was great.
It still holds up. You were preggers, weren't you? You were knocked up. You were with child at the time. So it still holds up. They did cut out a lot. There was, of course, Mace Windu's awesome scene. We didn't get to see that. There was the Snow Bunny Padme episode where she goes to Ilum to get the lightsaber crystals with Yoda. Yeah, and they just drew the hell out of Padme in that. So,
but that's not none of that's canon.
None of it's canon. Yeah. Okay. So with this edit, it was designed to fit more into canon. Although you know what, those might be in there because we've only watched the first two parts. So there are still two more parts to that. My glasses were like right up against the sandpaper.
Yeah, but at the end of what we just watched, it had kind of made that transition to almost like post Clone Wars.
Well, no, but when we watch the fourth one, then that will be like that's taking us
right to
Revenge of the Sith. It takes us up to Revenge of the Sith, because there's.
Oh, we won't spoil.
Yeah, we won't. Yeah. So this,
okay.
Okay. So,
spoilers. We're not done with the show.
Yeah, spoiler. I mean, we're not done with the show. So, spoiler alert on that. And then, but yeah, do stick around because we are going to be talking about episode 3, season 1, episode 3 of the Acolyte. So, stay tuned for that. We've got some thoughts and opinions on that. So, thoughts and opinions on this micro series. Who was Sherry? You've never seen it before.
I've never seen it. No.
Tony has never seen it before. Gary has seen it a gazillion times.
Yeah.
Louie,
I've seen it a few.
You've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
I've seen it a few times.
I've like gone back and watched specific scenes, like especially the Mace.
The Mace Windu one is dope.
Kind of sad that we didn't get to see it.
But don't.
It might be. I mean, it might be.
I mean,
it could
go
be
watch it.
sprinkled. Yeah, go watch it. If you haven't seen it, just do Mace Windu, the most awesome scene in Star Wars ever. So thoughts? Who wants to go? I think we'll just do round robin today. I mean,
It's fine. I mean, I just think.
Sherry, you've never seen it. Ladies first.
I've never seen it, and so I think.
Like knowing where we are in the Star Wars timeline now, seeing what we've seen.
Well, it's just showing where Anakin's going to go.
His continued growth, right?
His continued growth, the love of Padme, all this stuff, and his anger. His anger, especially in this one.
Yeah.
To defeat, what was her name?
Asajj Ventress.
And Dooku. Again, I like Dooku. I feel bad for him. So
Yeah.
He
gets a bad rap.
So I like following his story.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
And it's just.
It wasn't a big one in this, but.
And as we were watching it, Gary, you were talking about how, Grievous, they do Grievous dirty.
Both Asajj
and Grievous,
done dirty.
Right? But I feel like that's almost like a continuous theme that we see across Star Wars. Is you've got these characters because like Grievous's backstory, he was completely fucked by Dooku, so he could become Grievous, so he could turn him into Grievous and use him as this Jedi hunting tool. And it's just like, but the Jedi are doing the same thing.
Yeah, but both sides are doing the exact same thing.
Right, like everybody is like the leaders of both factions are using all of these poor individuals as pawns in their own game.
In their trust game.
Yeah. And it's ugly. It's an ugly situation. Tony, what about you? You've never seen this before.
No.
You're a Star Wars fan.
I absolutely am.
Okay, you've seen a lot of Star Wars, and then so what do you think?
So I enjoyed what I've seen so far. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it, but obviously we've got to get into the whole actual Clone Wars as opposed to the main series before we get there.
Right.
That's okay. We'll get there in time. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a lot of fun. You mentioned about the growth of Anakin, and I gotta be honest, I'm not seeing a lot of growth in him. I mean,
well, I don't mean the good side.
I mean, he literally just
You meant the lack thereof growth.
completely disobeyed Obi-Wan again. Flew off planet, flew into a trap,
True.
and came back and said, "Okay, I'm sorry about that. Oh, but I won, so it's okay." Meanwhile, you got an entire squadron of troopers killed in horrific ways.
It's like, I beat the shit out of you, but
I mean, Obi-Wan
So-
sent him. I mean, Obi-Wan got those poor guys killed.
Well,
His
his squadron in space got
didn't go.
his squadron in space got jumped beforehand, and then
I think
squad-
troopers
squad- down there, and those.
they got sauce.
well, the
Yeah.
way
I mean, they got sauce.
It was so Jover for them.
yeah.
It
Obi-Wan
was so
said
Jover.
it's a fight that should never have happened.
Right.
Because you shouldn't
Mhm.
have done it. So I think he was just doing it to try to help.
Obi-Wan's trying to protect Anakin.
He's just trying to protect him. So
Which is his job. That's what
it
he's supposed to
is.
do. So yeah, like seeing things like that, you see and it's been brought up in multiple episodes now, the continued arrogance of young Jedi and
Yeah.
the problems that's going to lead to over time. Despite that, it's a logical conclusion from where we've been and just where we're going, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay. Daddy Louie. Because there was a couple times as we were watching it.
Yeah.
And by the way, for all of our listeners, if you haven't seen this, we did this live, so you can check it out on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. We'll have the live on there, so you can watch it along with us and you can see our reactions. You reacted a few times, and it was pretty cool because it was like almost like you were seeing it again for the first time.
Yeah.
Because obviously some stuff you're going to forget about.
Yeah. But I think, because I think that once it stopped being recognized as
Canon.
and we got the Clone Wars series that we're going to watch kind of pushed in front of it. Some of the stuff you push out of your mind, I think. So some of the stuff, but as I was watching it, I was remembering like certain. It's like I remembered the plot points, right? Because we had talked about, for example, like when Asajj like does all the nasty stuff to all the clones and stuff in the forest. I just didn't remember like how badass she's portrayed, because when I think Asajj now, I think of the Clone Wars Asajj. I don't think of this Asajj.
Right.
So seeing this was kind of like a breath of fresh air of the characters.
Sure.
And it kind of made me sad that this couldn't have been made canon in some way along with that, because there's some good stuff here.
Really good stuff.
Really good like decisions. And I remember how this micro series ends. So I'm excited to see other people's reaction to how it ties right in. Because for those that might not know, when this show dropped, it was to get people excited about Revenge of the Sith. Like it was timed perfectly along with the release of Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So the way that this ends goes right into Revenge of the Sith. And there's some things that we see in Revenge of the Sith that you're like, oh, so that's how it happened.
Right.
Because of this micro series. So while I was watching that, I was thinking of those things too. And that kind of made me a little bummed out because some of that's not canon anymore.
I know. Yeah. And that's like, like you said, like the ending, it's so cool the way that they did it, because like you could literally just stitch that episode, that final episode of the micro series, and the beginning of Revenge of the Sith together, and just it's within moments of each other,
Okay.
like literally within moments of each other. It's very, very cool. Yeah, very, very cool.
So this is going somewhere.
Yeah, Gary, what are your thoughts? Well, I know you got a lot of them.
The micro series is one of those things where it'll just go down as one of my favorite pastimes to sit there and watch, man.
Because you were a kid when it came out.
I was. So yeah, I think my came out in 2002. But it's kind of sucks as well because, like I said, there's so many great characters. Munil's 10.
Oh yeah.
First and last time
like
that we ever see them.
That should have been our Bad Batch. Like that should have been. That's the series that we deserve.
You know what I mean? I won't talk about Fordo, but Fordo, favorite, same character.
Yeah.
We don't see him
Ever again.
Oh, after this.
No.
We don't see Dirge ever again.
Only in
He
the comics.
lives all the way into the Galactic Empire. Never see him again.
Only in the comics.
You know, and we've kind of already talked about, General Grievous kind of being done dirty from this iteration of him to when you guys see it in the future.
Right.
The one that we do get. And same thing with Asajj Ventress in the micro series over to the new one at the new Clone Wars. So this is just one of those series where it's like, I'm here to watch the Munil's 10. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm here to watch the Munil's 10. I'm here to watch certain characters knock off Shaggy.
Oh man, Padawan Shaggy.
I'm here to watch
Thoughts
the
and
foot,
prayers.
the foot grabs.
I would put
Foot grab
I would put Padawan Shaggy like on. I would put him on a T-shirt along with. I know we're jumping ahead a little bit.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers, but also with Lunchroom Trooper from The Mandalorian.
Oh my God!
I'm putting like they're at the same Lunchroom Trooper.
Can I throw one more person?
Yeah.
Two more that got dealt dirty.
Yeah.
The dudes that died in. I can't.
Is he? Be big.
Oh, big about it. The Citadel Yellow Trooper.
Oh. Yes.
And then Gore, the captain that had to fight Gore. Grievous.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you'll see it. You'll see it, my
Okay.
friend.
Okay.
You'll be like,
Yeah.
man, you should do that. You should be like honorable death wall or like worst deaths in the series.
That's a good
You know what?
idea.
Or maybe
Wall of Remembrance.
Wall of Remembrance.
For those that
Wall of
were
Remembrance.
that are not remembered in the
like
way
it's
that they
just
like
should.
that.
the wall of remembrance.
The undercover when everyone's like, oh yeah, the top 10 best death scenes in Star Wars. No, we're talking about the top 10 worst death scenes in Star
But
Wars.
you know what? It's not even death scenes. It's the ones that really like you feel it in your heart.
You're like, ooh.
ooh. Maybe it's not even like a devastating scene, but it's like we didn't know Lunch Trooper, but I felt bad for Lunch Trooper because it's like
I remember it.
tray in hand.
Like I'm just trying to get
Walks in,
food.
he's like, what the fuck's
Right.
going
That
on?
was just a typical work,
I just got
bad
off my
time,
shift.
bad place,
Right.
trying to eat
Hungry.
my Jawa to go meal.
Right.
My
my Jawa juice and bantha steak.
Just like
He came off of like a fucking 14-hour shift. He was just sitting
Standing on the wall, probably.
right,
outside
ready to
the
take
wall.
off his helmet and fucking munch out, and then maybe go rack out for a couple of hours. Thoughts and prayers. I think that the wall of remembrance. I think we need to do that. The wall of remembrance of the people as we're watching the people that go out, and it's just like heartfelt. Like, oh
Those are
man, like, I
t-shirts.
feel bad. Those are t-shirts.
but like you can have like I have one that is all the cryptids.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
it would be all their little faces with their
You can.
the names we make up for them right underneath and just say Wall of Remembrance.
I like that.
And then the back would say Star Wars.
I like that.
On the back, it's just Jover Trooper
Jover
1.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Like it's gonna be just a montage of just like that's Jover, he's Jover. Like you already know.
Because there's a lot. Like, I mean, it's just every
There's a
now and
lot,
then.
but those ones you guys point
There's-
out.
yeah,
are
like,
would be
there's
great
that
little
would be great.
t-shirts.
Yeah,
There's
just,
some
you
that
know.
you're just like, ooh.
And do it like like
rough.
when you see families put lost ones on the t-shirts, like make it look kind of like that iron on
Right.
real,
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. Rest in power or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? A little ceramic locker in the background.
I was singing it in my head. Oh my god.
Right? Or some what is it? Some Boys to Men. What was the the song?
oh my
End of the
God.
Road.
Yeah.
So we go to the end of the road.
Voice to men.
Boys to
And
Men.
then
Yeah.
it's the rest.
$3
I
a
don't remember
day.
it.
Oh,
Help the families.
help the
Those
families
we
of
lost.
Lunch Trooper.
It just like cuts to like all the different
Right.
scenes of them. Like it just him
Yeah.
standing there in
Like a
slow
little
motion as
montage.
it goes.
Yeah.
You see the clone getting dragged into the
I
You
got
put like a
I
little
have it.
800.
What?
I have
A
it.
little 800. No, what?
Between our hiatus,
Oh,
you fucking make that in remembrance of all the people we've just watched.
Okay. Like they do at award ceremonies. Like
Yes.
for the Oscars, these are the people that we
Yeah.
lost this year. Yeah.
Just make a quick slideshow.
So here's who we lost this season
Before-
on Star Wars Sucks. These are the
Yeah.
Before our
But with your
During
name, with
our
the names
hiatus.
that
with our names for
Right.
them. Yeah.
And then it's just like honorable mentions.
and you can put other ones too. I mean,
Yeah.
but if we come up with some more, like if you guys think of other ones, we can do a whole remembrance show,
I like it.
10, 15 minutes. Just
Yeah. I like that.
with the fucking what is it, Sarah McLachlan?
Sarah McLachlan, yes.
Song or whatever. Yeah, we need to write. that
Everyone's
down.
just in like black suits and like
For
Yeah.
armbands, we got black
and
armbands.
yeah.
like armor and whatever. And we're just like today we celebrate the passing of not the coolest troopers.
Right? Yeah. No. No.
But
Like
damn, you died in some horrible ways, and it must be noted.
like we've lost people. Obviously,
But
we've
there's
lost
been a
people,
like
but-
we could put everybody because we could put Qui-Gon, we can put
no,
I don't know.
I know because no, I'm talking about what we've watched.
Yes.
Our series, what we're watching.
I think we should keep it like those background players, like those.
You think
Like,
so?
don't use
like
any
the
main
dude that
characters.
gets
Like, no
shot,
main
and,
characters.
like the
I know what I mean,
that's
like,
like
dude,
shot,
Or you make them the
You do it,
honorable
but yeah,
mentions.
like the whole thing is all about these
The
These
no-
secondary,
characters.
tertiary,
And then the
characters.
greatest, oh yeah,
Honorable mentions.
Like,
Oh yeah,
You could,
Qui-Gon,
you could just
shit
have like
that.
a fast scroll at the bottom that
Right.
says everybody's name, like little
Um,
teeny tiny letters.
because there's always going to be those guys. Anyone that has like the Wilhelm scream attached to them, they always go out hard.
Ain't no one talking about the background Geonosians in episode 2 that were just
No, they don't.
like,
I didn't feel those guys. I didn't
well, no, they suck. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
now I
no
want
one
to go
feels
back
the
and watch and
background
see who's died.
characters.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, like,
write it down.
Or like, yeah, we should.
we should.
Or like in episode 2,
I'm
where
gonna do that
they're
from now
walking
on.
around
I'll
the
just keep
ship.
a
There's
pass
just like,
next to me.
ain't no one care about the 2 guards that got exploded and jettisoned off the ramp. Like,
Well, and there's
Joe
always,
and Steve.
and then there's the,
Joel and Steve.
well, there's the tragedy of, TK421,
Right.
and
What happened to poor
we
TK?
haven't gotten there yet, but there is canon lore about TK421. It was written like before and then the outcome,
Okay.
like what happened to TK421 and why he wasn't at his
Yes.
post. So
All right, so that's an
I don't want to
idea.
spoil it, but
We're getting on a
he'll be
team.
on our wall of remembrance.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
he's going on a t-shirt.
Speaking of t-shirts.
Yes.
Let's pick.
Pimp now?
Yeah.
Already?
I mean, we talked
We're
about
just
it.
talking about it.
Oh yeah, go to our website, circleofnerds.com/merch, and buy some of our cool t-shirts. We don't have these t-shirts up there yet, but we will when we.
Let us know.
Yeah, if you're interested, let us know. So when we go on hiatus, in between our seasons, we'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Which actually, this is the last episode of our season 1.
Yes.
So we're gonna go on hiatus. I don't know for how long. We have 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be taking a 2-week hiatus. You guys were just here part of our planning meeting for that. Our production meeting.
That was our production
That was
meeting.
our production meeting.
That's
There you
fine.
go.
Done. Gavel. Boom. Done. So I want to talk a little bit about, we touched on it a little bit, but using people, especially the Jedi, because and this is going to tie into the Acolyte when we talk about that. But the way that the Jedi portray themselves as heroes, protectors, guardians of the galaxy,
Yeah.
basically, and they're literally out here, absconding with children,
And taking
taking babies,
Yeah.
and they're really, really using people for their agenda. So what do we think? Do we think that the Jedi are broken, lost, or are they doing the right thing, but they're kind of doing it the wrong way for the right reasons? What do we think? Gary?
That depends on, you guys have to help me out with this, the time period when the Acolyte actually happens.
Well, we're not. Well,
You know what I mean?
we're not talking about the Acolyte yet, but right now where we're at, right now we're in Clone Wars era. So
Yeah.
at this point, the Jedi are working with the Senate to fight the Separatists. So are the Jedi? Do you think that the Jedi are doing some morally gray things for the greater good, or are they just trying to perpetuate their own agendas?
I think that's what happens when you have a thing called the Chosen One. It just kind of falls into place.
Yeah.
For the longest span in Jedi history, so what we've been told so far is that there's always been the Chosen One
Right.
that will balance the Force, blah, 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 blah. This is the first, time that they've actually had an opportunity to be like, oh, maybe this is the dude,
Right.
And honestly, in any organization that's oh man, the rumored one will come and he'll take us to the promised land and bring balance to the Force.
Like Harry Potter, right?
Boom!
Harry
Yeah.
Potter's supposed to save everybody.
Harry Potter. We don't know if this dude's the guy. You just have a cool scar. You know what I mean? Anyone can have a cool scar.
I fell off my bike. No one thinks I'm shit.
Right.
Exactly. So it's when you kind of have those built-in lore aspects of there is somebody that's going to come. Now it's just, man, who fits the bill? Do you fit the bill? No. Next. Do you fit the bill? Potentially. You got the midichlorians.
Sure.
Maybe.
You
so
don't
I
have
think.
a dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't have a dad.
It's everybody doesn't have a dad.
How do we weed out who the dude is? So I think now in the Clone Wars, I don't think they're doing morally gray things because now we're also getting into war. They're not generals.
But they are though now. They're not supposed to be.
They are now.
They're supposed to be keepers of the peace, but now they are straight up warriors.
And they're also leading people as well.
Right.
So it's a whole new change of pace for them and a whole new mindset they have to adopt because at the end of the day, victory is written by the winners.
Sure.
And both sides are going to commit some really dumb stuff. So it's
Yeah, they already have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
when it comes to Anakin,
he's groomed.
yeah, he's being groomed.
He's
Sherry, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, he is. Of course he's being groomed. I mean, freaking Palpatine's, he's in there. I mean, he is in
It's
there.
between him and the Jedi Council.
Man,
Well, the
what
Jedi-
words can I say on this? Because like, there's
Whatever you
one
want.
word.
Say whatever you want.
Oh, dude, he's getting cucked from both sides.
He is.
Yeah.
Like one side's telling him that he is the greatest ever, like you are the chosen one. But then the same people that tell him he's the chosen one, dude, you ain't it. You ain't ready.
You're not ready.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I kind of see where his decline comes
Of
from
course.
because for his entire life, he's been told, you are the chosen one that'll bring balance to the
From
Force.
day
Again,
one.
he's
Then-
too old.
But then, yeah. But then they're also like, dude, we can't make you a knight. You suck.
But
Oh, we let you lead a space battle. Oh shit, you won,
Right.
but you still suck as far as Jedi standards are concerned.
You know, and it like you bring up an interesting point too. It's like, you know, telling him that, like, what by telling him that on day one, what kind of
Ego trip.
pressure does that put on you?
The
In
chip.
addition to the ego, right? But it's like I watched the Matrix recently, and there's a scene where Neo is, you know, on the deck of the Nebuchadnezzar with Cypher, you know, and drinking the, you know, the engine cleaner or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, do you know why you're here? You know, did Orpheus tell you? And he was like, yeah. And Cypher's like, man, what a mind job. Like, what do you say to that? You know, like, what do you know, someone just tells you you're the savior of humanity. Like, you know, 2 days ago, you were sitting in a shitty apartment in the Matrix,
In the Matrix.
you know, selling people some fucked up, you know, hacked codes and shit. And
Right.
now you're the savior of humanity. Yeah, like,
How do you
same thing.
process that?
How do you process that? Exactly. It's like, what does that do to you? You know, and what kind of expectations do you put on yourself from that?
But you see, the difference between the Matrix and Star Wars is that the machines were in Neo's head, being like, "You need to come work with us, man." Like,
Right,
we-
Neo
the
was pushed
machines,
to the good the whole
like,
time.
The
Right.
whole time,
Whereas
he was
Anakin
fast
being
tracked.
split. Yeah.
Yeah. the whole
And
time.
Palpatine is just like, oh, it's such a shame they don't see your talent, and you're just so much. You're so they finally gave you a command. They finally
Right,
that's
in the beginning, where he's like, "Oh, we should give him command." No, we shouldn't. Oh, but he's good. Oh, good conversation.
Yeah.
Good talk.
yeah, good talk.
Oh.
It's decided. Then get on out there.
And then
So-
immediately after, he's
And then he's like, you won't be a knight. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, you are
You're a
a
knight.
knight. It's like,
right. So it's just like one thing after another. For this poor guy.
But you know what? That's what happens when you murder somebody on a planet that you felt like going to go fight, even though you didn't have to fight that fight. They were like, oh, you kill that dude? And you lost to Dooku? Yeah, we'll knight you, bro. You've been through some shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll give it to you.
Well, I mean, this is the classic case of desperate times call for desperate measures.
Right.
Like, I understand what the Jedi are trying to do. They want Anakin not just to be a great soldier, but to be
what the
A proper
universe needs
Jedi.
him to be, too.
and like they need to, for lack of better phrasing, they need to beat out that arrogance out of them. They need to temper down his arrogance and humble him a little bit so that he becomes what they need him to become. But they don't know that he's been played on the other side too.
Right.
So
he doesn't even know.
Kind of.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even really know.
He just think like
Playing on the other
he's
side.
getting
He just
basically.
thinks-
It's like a kid between two divorced parents. You know,
Yes.
one parent is really cool, while the other parent is like trying to like maintain
Right.
discipline. Like yeah, I'm the bad guy for making you go to school and making you eat your vegetables, and your dad over here is letting you watch porn and eat all the candy you want and do whatever you want.
Man, this slides in
Yeah.
so well.
How are you going to go
And
to
that's
the dark
Palpatine.
side?
Right, and that's Palpatine. Palpatine is that guy. I'm gonna let you eat candy and go to bed whenever you want, and I'm praising you. You're so good.
Well,
You're
he's
so
like,
cool.
why do they tell you that? You're
Right.
perfect.
So of course it's like,
And then he's like, really? Oh, I guess I am. And then
yeah. But Palpatine is like deliberately saying the opposite of everything that the Jedi say because he knows, and that helps to drive that wedge a little bit more. And it's just getting just worse and worse. But the Jedi know what they're doing. The Jedi are 100% using Anakin as a tool.
But they all are.
They all are, yeah.
Even Yoda. When Yoda was like, well,
See, I feel like
he
Yoda.
fucked up, but okay, we're just going to make him a knight.
See,
When he said that, I was like, no, motherfucker.
because I think I don't blame Yoda for anything because,
You love Yoda. That's why.
well,
That's why.
because of he always just trusts the Force. Like
Which is
you know what I mean?
short-sighted.
Like Mace and Obi-Wan, they're more holistic, I guess.
Yes.
Whereas Yoda is very like the Force will take care of everything. And so when he's faced with a decision, he puts it back on the Force. If the Force is saying that this boy is the chosen one, then who am I to mess with the Force?
It's like a
We're gonna
hardcore
trust
Christian,
him.
right? Who believes
Which
in
is what I
God,
was
like
gonna say.
blind. Yeah,
Which is what I was going to say when you asked the question of where are we at Jedi-wise. I think the foreshadowing of this being a very strong religious organization that is in their minds doing the right thing, but to anybody who's not in that organization,
drinking the tea.
right? If the people that ain't drinking the tea
They're
are
not-
seeing,
they're not going to heaven.
they're seeing
Can
the
you imagine
flaws
the whole time?
of that structure.
Palpatine's just
Right.
sitting there, like in the corner, and he's just like, "Oh yes, 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 yes."
Right? Like he's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
making things happen.
He is doing
He
that.
waves
shit.
his hand like behind him. He's like, "Yes, Yoda. Yes, yes. Now you're drinking my Kool-Aid.
Right.
Yes, yes."
But like what you'd say, like with Yoda, Yoda is so like Sherry, what you would what people say like someone that's new to Christianity.
You're full.
They're full. They're
You're
just
full.
they're newly
Their
saved.
cup runneth
Right.
over.
Yeah. So Yoda is that person that just follows the Force blindly.
Yeah,
But Qui-Gon warned against it. Be mindful of the living Force.
Did.
right.
And Yoda is
Doesn't-
not.
right.
And I don't understand that when Yoda's like friggin' 500 and something years old, or no, he's
800.
800 something.
But
years
that's
old.
why he exiles himself, because he realizes
He fucked
That he
up.
wow,
fucked up.
Yeah.
wow, I have been blind this entire time
Right.
because I put my faith in the Force,
So
and the Force
much.
failed me.
Right.
So he goes into exile. Who else did that?
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
we will discuss.
But so now this
We'll
is,
discuss that in like
Yeah,
2
yeah.
years once we get to that
That's why
point.
I was-
but this is tied into the Acolyte.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about the Acolyte.
Okay, great transition.
Great. Yeah,
Love it.
There we go.
So Acolyte season 1, episode 3, we get some surprises. Wait, what happened? I love you guys back.
You're good.
Anyway, go
Okay, so we see some surprises. We see Night Sisters. Maybe. I mean, they're witches. We know that they're
We
witches.
know they're witches,
Oh,
and they're
they're-
a coven.
I mean, they're a coven of witches.
It doesn't say night witches.
It
so
doesn't. They don't.
that's
Or,
fine.
they don't say Night Sisters,
And they
but
don't have the.
They
It's
have
implied.
bows. They're not energy bows.
They're not-
though,
but they're-
it's close enough.
but it's still like
It could be a
100 years prior, though.
It's
Too.
and it could be a sect of,
Yes.
because they said they had to leave to go here and
Right.
make a new coven.
So where did they leave from? Did they leave from Dathomir? Did they leave from somewhere else? I mean,
Or
hopefully,
there's some kind of
hopefully we'll
different.
find out.
Or I mean, the galaxy is huge. It
huge.
could be any
Could
type
be
of
anywhere,
witches.
yeah.
Yeah, so
What type of witch might be irrelevant, but we
Right.
don't know yet.
Well, we just know that it's they use the thread. They call the thread instead of the Force. So it's like it was interesting to see their take on it. But then what the mother had said about this is all about who decides
Who
who decides
decides
who gets to use the
who
power.
gets to use the power?
Right. And then the Jedi show up and they're like, yeah, you're not allowed to train kids.
Right.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So that's bullshit on the Jedi side. Who are you to tell me in my coven how I'm going to treat my kids?
Like on my planet, you came to
You're
my house.
training-
Which isn't part of the Republic, which is what you're defending.
Right.
Right.
So they did fuck up there with the twins.
Yeah.
They did fuck up there.
So like revisiting the conversation we had earlier about how like, ooh, how we feel about the Jedi in the Clone Wars. Back then during the High Republic, fuck those guys. They had it coming.
Yeah.
They had it
I
coming.
mean, that was straight up, in my opinion, it seemed like manipulation.
That was the-
hardcore of those
that was
kids.
the biggest. I can do it, but you fucking can't do it.
Right.
Like
The
I can
Republic,
come and take your children.
the
regardless
Republic
of where-
prohibits the teaching of the Force to children unless it's
unless it's
these guys
through
right here, these
one
Jedi.
institution.
That's kind of fascism, isn't it? I mean, that's a little.
Yes. Yes, it shouldn't matter how they're being taught because apparently they're powerful as fuck.
Right when
And I think they're more
Oh
powerful
yeah,
than
oh
Jedi.
boy, when he did the black
when they got Tobin, when she like snapped on Tobin like, "Oh, you'll get your
She didn't
Padawan back."
She didn't even blink. She didn't.
No.
She knew
She
shit.
wasn't
Didn't break
using
a
her hands.
sweat.
Nothing.
Looked
She
at him
just stood
and was
there.
like,
I don't even know if she was looking at him. Like
She was like, "You'll get your Padawan back when you get the fuck out."
So instead of trying to combine all the forces and just
Learn from each other. Yeah,
No.
the Jedi are too dogmatic.
No, they're like, you can't.
We're the only game in town.
Because they're using dark side and light, to be honest.
Seems to be,
The
yeah.
witches are using both,
Yeah.
and it seems like they're able to do it flawlessly.
Now, what do we think
Really?
about? Now, there was a couple things that like jumped out. So we've got two, the twins, immaculately conceived. So
By another woman, but made by her.
right, so
That was
made by
weird.
the mother, but then carried by the Zabrakian mother. So-
I'm still not.
So I mean, but
Magic plus
let's
surrogacy.
right.
Right.
So but let's suspend the disbelief on that. It's right. So
Okay,
like.
fine.
So what do you guys think as how did she create the twins? Like we know Anakin was virgin birth.
oh,
They're
it's
still
simple.
midichlorians.
It's simple. They're the chosen one, obviously.
Ah.
No,
They're obviously the chosen one.
not in this case.
How do we think they were made? Like you had said that they use a blend of light side, dark side.
Well, I think she used magic. They are witches.
Yeah.
They are considered straight up witches.
I
So they used magic to conceive. I don't see the problem in that, especially since it's, this is
Wow.
alien to us. We don't know
Yeah, we have no idea how they were made.
reproduction.
And I also think
Tony, what? You're about what's up? What's up, Tony?
I was just going to say, I mean, we've only seen this particular group of witches on screen for a relatively short period of
Yeah.
time. I know that the mother that created them presents female. We don't know that she technically is. I mean,
Right.
maybe she just straight up the other girl and gave her a set of twins. And there's no father because
I
there's
don't
two
know.
mothers.
no, because
She said,
straight. She said,
you create or I created. You carried.
You
But I get
carried,
what
but I
he's saying,
created
Yeah.
though.
them.
But I
Yeah.
understand what he's saying, like a hermaphrodite
I-
type deal.
Yeah, like the
Yeah, but I don't know that we.
But it's like, you're right. You're right.
But anyway,
Well, it's like, and this is what's interesting. This is what can be used to combat all of these arguments going on. We're not going to talk too much about real life. We're not supposed to, but there was something like in the last episode of the Acolyte, we see a Jedi. It's the first time we see an overweight Jedi. But considering all the different species throughout the galaxy, is he overweight?
no,
Or is that just how his species
correct.
develops?
correct.
But people are, people online, they're like, oh my God, the Jedi are about, physical fitness and blah, blah,
Where?
this
Where
and
does
that.
it say that?
Yeah,
like
What is their
but
PT
it's like-
program? I've never
right,
seen
but there's,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah,
nothing.
What does
who's
their
the-
PT test look like?
What's
Right,
Right.
He does look
Right.
What do you have to do to qualify for a Jedi PT test?
right, like 20 push-ups, 30
Right.
sit-ups,
Yeah.
some run.
But using
No,
the
that's
force.
And to be fair, too, like that's the thing too. The Force, we've seen it. We just saw it in the micro series.
Right.
Asajj literally pushed off a cement pillar.
Yeah,
A cement pillar lived, mind you, but being crushed to another staircase.
so she put a force
Pushed
bubble
that
around
shit
her.
off.
Force bubble.
Pushed that shit off of her like it was nothing.
Well,
You have the speed. So I mean, between the strength and the speed, what PT test is going to stop a Jedi?
But you're
Well,
right.
look at Tobin.
Yeah.
It's just not a fair.
Tobin's
He
like,
sat in a circle of bubble or whatever
he had a force
for
bubble
10 fucking years.
impenetrable force
Could
bubble.
not-
Like,
Didn't talk, didn't open his eye,
No.
literally
10
meditating.
years.
just chill. And like, and Tony, like you said, who knows? The mother is female passing, but who knows what her plumbing looks
Also,
like?
Magic.
Magic.
We
There's
haven't
countless
seen-
possible explanations.
But so
Maybe they'll explain-
genetically,
maybe they won't.
whatever. The
Everything's
twins
up
came to
everything's up for debate.
be. The twins came to be. They're super powerful.
Yeah.
One is dark side. I mean,
Do you think that they're like a nice even split between dark and light?
I do.
So
No. Oh no, Louie. No, Louie. No.
No.
something I hesitate to bring up because one of the few things that I didn't like about the sequel the sequel trilogy, which obviously we're nowhere near yet. But to me, this is what I would have interpreted as a dyad.
Okay.
and so that counterbalance between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to my mind, May seems to be considerably more powerful, but I think that's because her ascension was actually completed, whereas Osha's was not. But prior to that point in time, they were pretty much the exact polar opposites of one another.
But equal in power.
Equal in power,
Seemingly.
up until the ascension.
You can see it in the beginning of the episode that May grabbed that butterfly
Mhm.
and had way more control over it, but Osha was struggling to kind of like hold it in place.
No,
Because
I think-
Osha didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I think Osha was holding it gently.
Right, and May
And
was
May
kind of like
grabbed
grabbed it.
Yeah, she
May
was
grabbed
crushing it.
Yeah. She was hurting it. And I think
Not to say that
I think
Osha couldn't do that.
Right.
That's not her
she
nature.
chose not to. She wanted to hold it gently. And then
I think that's why
May
she
grabbed the
found
fucking shit out of it.
the Jedi so appealing.
Because they're on the surface, they seem to be more about peace and technology. I mean,
Usually, yes.
she saw the technology. I mean, she obviously has an aptitude for that when she gets out of her room, not her cell, but her room. So she has an aptitude, but that appeals to her. And I think she just got she got sick of sharing the stage with her sister.
It was crazy.
Who's crazy. I mean, May's a little she's
a
a
little,
left-handed monkey wrench, right?
a little. I mean,
Bad seed.
setting
Pulling
fire-
wings off butterflies.
I don't know, man. There's bad seeds where it's like, yeah, they're just not the right together. Like you get kids, like one kid is always like, oh, that's the one that's always getting in trouble and like going off and sneaking out, hanging out with their friends. Motherfucker burnt down a door and locked her sister in the other
To kill
side
her.
of that
Right,
room.
because
She straight up said,
she
"You're
said
gonna
it.
be with me.
I'm gonna kill you.
killing
She's like, well, how are you gonna keep me here? She's like, I'll kill you. So yeah, it's like, oh man. So maybe she needs to go to like night sister therapy or something. There has to be something for her. Now, so I want to ask you guys this: when we as the episode ends, we see Osha being taken away by Saul, and we see all of the sisters are dead. Who did that? Who do we think did that? Was it a product of all the explosions going on? Was it May? Was it the Jedi? Was it this mysterious Sith that we're seeing? Who do we think it was? You think May did all of that? You think May
I think she turned.
Do you think May got? We discussed this earlier too briefly, but do you think May got the full power in the Ascension, or did she only get her half of it? Because the mother grabbed the Ascension ball and gave it to May, and grabbed another Ascension Force ball, thread ball, whatever, and was about to give it to Osha, and she didn't get it, obviously.
Right.
But do we think that May got more than her fair share, making her more powerful to wipe out everyone? Or did somebody else have, because all of those witches were powerful as fuck.
They were. But
So
I
to
don't
be
think the
taken
Jedi
out.
did it.
No? Who do we think did it?
So I think it's kind of a combination. I absolutely the Jedi did something, because Torba's whole thing before he dies is we
said-
thought we were doing the
I
right
thought we
thing.
were
Right.
doing the right thing.
But that
So
could have
you
been.
had to have done
Just
something that you
taking
now
those-
know is fucked up.
But
Right.
that could have been just taking her.
Maybe.
Well, because
You-
taking her is really kind of what caused all this. Had they not planned to take her, then May wouldn't have freaked out. So
Perhaps.
it could be that. But my prediction is that it was this mysterious Sith
In the shadows.
in the
lurking.
shadows who then takes May as Osha goes off. And I think that I don't know if we can say straight up prediction.
Yeah, why not?
but
Yeah.
I think it's going to end up being that it's Plagueis is the masked Sith.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he finds out that these Night Sisters have created life through manipulating midichlorians.
Mhm.
And so he in the same way that Sidious plants Anakin,
Right.
Plagueis doesn't create the life, the sisters do, but he takes her with the intent to figure out
How
what
to
they
make
did,
more.
because timeline-wise, we're
It lines
100
up.
years. I could see this being Plagueis, who's
Ooh.
learning through
Another
training
sister.
training May. She's
'Cause she's
trying to
already
figure
ascended,
out.
so she could
Right.
probably use.
Maybe he's trying to use her to become. I don't think that she's more powerful than Osha because she struggled against Endara. So if she can't kill Endara, but she could kill a whole coven of witches, that just doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because those witches, like
They were
both said,
badass,
they
yeah.
badass. Want power of many. Like they were all together, they could have messed something up.
Right. And
But they were dead. Like
they were dead. They were eradicated. That was
They weren't on fire. There wasn't rubble around them. It was
we
literally.
didn't see
like,
their wounds though. We just saw them dead. So I don't think those 4 Jedi could have taken them out.
I don't think the Jedi did.
I don't think-
I don't.
I don't think the 4 of them could have taken them out. Soul, I don't think was that strong at that point. He's a bad motherfucker now, but I don't
just
think.
don't think they would have the reason to do it. They were going to take May anyway, and her mother was going to let her go.
Yeah.
Or not May, Osha.
Osha.
Yeah.
So her
That
mother was
decision
going to
had
let
been
her
made.
go.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, but
We don't know that.
Oh, that's true because she
Because
said, "Let
she
me
wouldn't talk
convert
to
with
them.
the council."
Your wish will be taken into consideration.
You think
Right.
maybe they had a fight amongst themselves? They killed each
Until
other.
each other. I think
Or
All of
maybe
them
the
would have
mom,
been
maybe
wiped
the
out.
mom knocked them out.
I
so-
think it's a combination of factors. You've got dissension amongst themselves because the mother wants to let them go and the others don't.
One of them, yeah.
You've got May starting a fire and who knows how. Like, obviously, they got
And
badly
it
out of
blew up that
control, but-
device, whatever that device
Yeah.
was. I don't know.
that was like a generator.
And then
It was
you've
like-
got
'cause they were like on a
Jedi
volcano
doing whatever
or
they
something.
were doing, and I maintain to this point that I don't think they're entirely innocent in all of this.
No.
Sure.
But between those 3 things, all happening at the same time, the sisters got overwhelmed.
But they were in one spot. They were in that one
They were all just
chamber.
in a circle,
They were
basically,
right
just
there.
passed out next to each
Like
other.
I know they're like in
But the mother was in another.
But the
chamber.
mother was
in a-
over in
right
another spot.
in Legends. There was the force, the thought bomb. Who did that? Was that Bane? No, I don't think it was Bane. It was somebody else. But it was like this. The force like so strong they created this. It was a thought bomb. Kills everything, everybody, including the person that does it. And at first I was thinking, well, maybe May, in her anger, and she obviously isn't trained to use her powers, maybe she inadvertently let off this fucking emotion bomb, this thought
It
bomb.
wouldn't be an emotion bomb so much as it would be like that black shit that took over toward
Right.
If she was mad enough and they tried to stop her from killing everyone, what's to say that she could have used all of that raw power to literally destroy their minds in that
Turn them
circle
into jelly.
coven? And then
I mean, I guess it
the
just shows
Jedi-
how strong she
the
is.
Jedi could have found that, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh shit.
someone's killing everybody. Maybe the Jedi killed the mother because she, in defense, could have said, "Oh, well, maybe the Jedi did it." Because you're right, the mother was in a different room when that happened. May could have thought bubbled the 20 of the dudes and walked off.
So I'm trying to think of
Soul
the
was gone, which leaves Endara, the Wookiee, and Torben. And if all 3 of them just came to a misunderstanding where Torben was the one that killed the mom, that's where he's like, I thought we were
But
helping.
see, like the Wookiee, I felt like was probably back at the ship, so it had to have been Endara who did all of that because I don't think Soul would do it. And
No,
the
Soul
Padawan
was gone
would.
He
because
was trying
Soul
to
was running around
find-
trying to find the kids.
Right.
So if you take him out of the equation, you have Torben, who we already know did something so heinous that he regrets it, and Endara.
Also, Padawan doesn't have.
Torben may have killed the mama.
and
He may have killed mama.
Mhm.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't think he was bad enough to kill mama.
I think him and Endara
Maybe-
together might have been.
I don't know.
But even then, maybe Endara was like, "Hey, like, don't kill her. Like, we're trying to like de-escalate the
So the
situation."
last-
and he just
But they also all think that they were responsible for May's death. So he could have just been like beating himself up over like being party to the death of a child.
well,
He could have been fucked up about that.
also too, parting to the death of the whole coven, because as everything's exploding, the Jedi's view, if we go with the whole like, oh, they're coming in, the mom's trying to come out, they hit each other before they meet the rest of the coven's fate and everything else, they could feel so also inclined to, oh fuck, did we do something during the fight that could start the chain of the explosion?
You know who I was just thinking could have been powerful enough to wipe everybody out? The other mom. The other
The
mother, the
Zabraki.
Zabraki, and
Oh,
because she was already kind of feeling some kind of way about things.
She was.
So she potentially could have
Did we
wiped
see her
everybody out.
yet?
Did we?
I think she's.
I don't remember
She
seeing
have to go back
could have
and
been
see
one
if
of the
she's
bodies.
alive.
in that
One of the
man's
bodies.
body.
You'd have to, we have to go back and look.
Pause, yeah.
Right, we have to go back and look.
There's more than one Sabrakian within that group,
Although-
so how do you know for sure?
I do
I
kind
don't
of
know
like.
that she was important enough unless she's.
I do
tied
kind of
to
like
it
the
somehow.
idea that Louie's talking with
Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis the Fresh, making his mixtape so that he can sell it 100 years later to Anakin.
And thinking
That
back
makes
on
so
the
much
last
sense.
the last thing that we saw with Osha and May, they were on opposite sides and they were yelling to each other. And she said, Osha said, "Where's Mama?"
Yeah.
And May said, "Mom's dead." And then Osha said, "What did you do?" And May said, "What did you do?" So it's almost tells me that neither one really knows what the fuck's going on, which
Right.
takes me to the Plagueis thing, where if Plagueis is doing his puppet string stuff the way that Sidious does puppet string stuff,
Yeah, like old.
as soon as he caught wind that, hey, there's some
It's about
witch
to
in
go
the northern hemisphere over there of the galaxy, knows how to manipulate
Triangulate
midichlorians.
on
If
her
he
force
comes,
Yeah.
if he comes, maybe they got into a fight. And the
Ooh.
mom he's trying to take, and the mom's like stopping,
Well, if
you
we're
know,
thinking about it,
like trying to
I
protect the
guess we'll
girls.
find out
But if
next
we're-
week.
Yeah,
But everything
that's
happens
next
so
week.
fast.
The cool thing,
Everything happens
too,
so
is
fast.
that if you think about it, if the thread and the force are the same thing, doing that ceremony is like a big fuck ass beacon to everyone that's force sensitive.
Could have been a beacon.
That's
Right.
probably
Which is
why
why
the Jedi felt it in the force and came running like, what the hell's happening?
They were watching them, and then she looked at
Yeah.
the forehead, and she was like, "That wasn't there this morning."
Right. So they were on them before the ascension ceremony even happened.
Right.
So they had to have felt the twins in the Force probably when they were born,
Maybe
and
that's
they've been
why
searching for
They've
them.
been looking.
But maybe
Yeah.
that's why they didn't want them on the walls.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because they didn't want them
Yeah.
to be found.
So they were using the force, maybe
Yeah, like
inside.
they're using their
To
own
hide them.
magic.
Maybe
Maybe
in the
that's what that
walls.
generator was. Something that
Oh,
keeps the like force
And,
shit in there. You know what I mean?
and so every time they went outside the wall, because even the one mom was like, "We're in danger."
Right.
Every
won't.
time they go out.
Well, they
Yeah,
did
so
say
that
that, like,
generator
the
must have.
war
Because
is,
they
like-
looked at that generator. The camera panned to that.
We
let
saw that
us
a couple
know that it
times.
was
Yeah.
there.
That's an
It was a
important
few
piece.
times.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a piece to show like this place is going up in flames. Not so much
Maybe.
as like this is a key component, because remember we're talking about witches. Witches still have multitudes of spells to protect, hide, cloak.
But she
Yeah,
very
but they
specifically
kept
said,
leaving.
if
But
they're not
with
around,
the kids leaving, themselves is a beacon. And
using
then
their-
you see the beacon, it peeps for 3 seconds, and then it magically disappears.
So of course they're going to come
I
and
think,
check it out.
yeah, I do think there's something to that generator, like that's some sort of
Because
a
they really
force
wanted
bubble
them
that
to stay-
you
and they
can't
were the
see, you
only
can't sense
children.
them. The only children.
Like
The only
that's
one
it. So they made them for a purpose.
to save them.
right?
I think
because
they
the
were
Jedi
made to
were-
save the witches.
They think they are.
Right, but then
But look
maybe.
what happened.
Yeah.
Again, you're fooling around with shit you shouldn't be fooling around with.
Right. And it was interesting because
It blew up.
what Mama had said,
Literally.
what Mama had said, she didn't want to use violence. She
She did. She said
specifically
no
said
violence.
no violence because she knows what's going to happen. And then the other mom was like, "It's only 4 Jedi.
Right.
Who's going to miss them?"
And
She was
hold
ready
on.
to go fucking ham
So-
on these 4 Jedi.
I want to point that out really quickly. That sentence, and then the sentence that Sol said to Osha on the ship, when Osha said, "Are there other children there?" and Sol was like, "Thousands." I think that for me, watching Star Wars for as long as I have, I think that was just that line alone, because I've heard it like 5 times now, because like we
Mhm.
watched it with you, then we watched it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
We watched it like 5 times in the last 2 days. 100 years from that moment, there will be
2.
Oh yeah.
think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
They eradicated that many Jedi in that short of amount of time.
Yeah.
That's
It's crazy.
wild.
Thousands of children.
Wild.
Now, that's thousands of children. That's not even
Right.
counting the
Right.
adult Jedi.
Right. That's
So-
what I'm saying. Like,
Padawans,
to
the-
think about Star Wars from us oldies who have, you know, when we literally looked and they were like, there's 2 Jedi.
Yeah.
The Jedi Knights. I thought the Jedi Knights have long been, you know, dead,
Right.
you know.
Right. But the High Republic, that's,
But
you know.
you don't when,
don't
when
consider
all
it.
that's going on, you don't think about, well, how many Jedi were there before? And now we're putting actual numbers on where like thousands.
Doesn't Obi-Wan say something like that too? Something like for 1,000 generations.
The Jedi
The
Knights
Jedi
were the peace, but
Yeah,
they
the
don't
Guardians
say
of
like
peace. I
They
think
never quantified in numbers.
Yeah, they never
Right.
gave it numbers, and
Yeah.
you know, we mentioned it before that Mace has a point in the movies where he says, "We are keepers of the peace. We're not soldiers."
Mhm.
And my interpretation of that was partially you're just trying to be diplomatic, but also you don't have those kind of numbers to be soldiers.
at that time.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
at that
the
time.
thing is
Yeah.
that-
right.
and Tommy,
During the Clone Wars.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the sacking of Coruscant back, it was before the High Republic, right?
Coruscant has been sacked.
No.
Are you talking about like during like the hyperspace wars, like when they were like starting to like map out the lanes and all that?
Do you
shit?
remember the scene in the Old Republic when like they crashed the frigate right into the front door of the Jedi Temple?
Yeah.
They used to have to recover and rebuild.
Because that was Malgus,
that.
right? That was Darth
Yes.
Malgus.
Because that couldn't have been too far off. It was the Old Republic, and it would go straight to the High Republic.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that
old-
stuff might not
so
be.
Old Republic takes place quite some time because we've also got stuff that takes place like over 1,000 years before, you know, the events of, you know, Episode 4. I mean, so there's a lot. I mean, we've got shit where the lightsabers are
But I'm
attached
saying,
to
like,
boxes
there-
and batteries.
There
and
used to be
shit.
a time period where like they were in fact warriors. They would go out and
Yeah.
they would go to war.
They were like
And that
warrior
was their
monks.
thing.
They
were
fought the
warrior monks.
They went to war
They
against the
fought
Mandalorians.
everybody.
They fought the
Exactly.
Mandalorians.
They fought the Sith multiple times.
Multiple
That was the thing.
But
maybe
up
the
until
High
Bane.
Up
Up until
the-
Bane. And then Bane said we can only have 2.
That's what I'm saying. Like up until the High Republic part, the High Republic is kind of where they're like,
I thought Plagueis created the
please.
rules too.
Nah.
Was it Bane?
I think it was Darth Bane that did the rules.
Which was before Plagueis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because from then they started killing everybody.
Yeah. So it was always going to be the apprentice and the master. The point being that the apprentice will always be hungry enough to destroy the master, which means that apprentice has to be more powerful than the master. So the thinking is that each line is stronger and stronger. So I'm powerful enough to beat you, so I'm going to take Tony as my apprentice, knowing that one day he's going to be powerful enough to beat me. Then he's going to take Sherry as his apprentice,
Right.
and Sherry's going to like. So, you know, finally, just like it's just
Right.
more power,
Right.
more power, more power.
When
And then Sherry
will this one be powerful enough to take out this
Right.
one?
And then you've got
that
the
cycle
chosen
continues.
one that comes to bring balance,
Right.
and that balance is reducing the Jedi to 2. You know, so it's like we've only got 2 Sith, and then we can only have 2 Jedi. That's where the balance comes in.
Yeah.
So I mean, because obviously the Sith were way outnumbered by the Jedi, and then, you know,
And fucking Palpatine was like, I'm done with that shit.
yeah, Palpatine, what a
And I think
dick.
I really think, I'm hoping that that's what we're seeing. Like this, as much as I love the idea of a show about stuff that happened in the past that has nothing to do with what we know as
It's nice to
Star
connect
Wars.
the dots, right?
Right. And if this is what that is,
If this is
those
played-
haters can go. I hope that they all are eating their words when the show.
I want them to drown in their own salty tears.
Right.
Get
Okay.
high blood pressure from
I mean,
their
how
salt.
old do we think Palpatine is by human standards? How old do we think Palpatine is?
I think by the time we see him, I believe he's like in his 60s by the time we see him in The Phantom Menace.
Okay, so this is 100 years before. Well, this is
So
80 years.
So if he's
It was 100 years before the Galactic Empire.
this was 100 years before The Phantom Menace. This takes place.
I thought it was 100 years before the Galactic.
This is
Empire.
132 BBY. For this, because The Phantom Menace takes place 32 BBY. This is supposed to be 132. Like,
Okay.
because
So
they're
that
doing that
means
now.
that-
Everything is like really like easy. You know, like it's 100 years.
Right.
This is like Young Jedi Adventures was 200 years. They're not like making it too complicated for us to keep track.
Right.
You know, so this thing is 10 years before. This is
So that
you know,
means
whatever.
Palpatine is born somewhere around 40
So
years after what we're
Plagueis
seeing.
could essentially be the apprentice,
Right. We could be seeing a young
young
here.
Plagueis, right? Who deals with the twins. Obviously, I don't think things are going to end well for the twins. I don't think that they have plot armor because we never see them again.
Well, and one thing that I was going to mention earlier, alongside with my prediction of Plagueis, is I think that Osha and May are connected in the life force. So I think if one dies, the other one is going to die.
That's a great point. Because
Like the reason that Osha is even still alive right now is because May survived. Had May died, I think that Osha would have died. Because I think the two of them are connected. Every time they say that thing, you know, I am you and you are me, and together we are one. You know, like
me.
I think that the two of them are somehow like connected in the
Literally.
living force to where if one dies, the other will die.
Well,
we'll see.
and like the poem, what was it? It said, "We are one, born as two."
Yeah.
So maybe
Born is
maybe that is some serious foreshadowing. Like they're one in the force, but the witches split them physically.
Yeah.
So they share a life. They share a thread, like
Right.
you said.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's why she said I carried them, but maybe it was just one.
The twins aren't
And then
normal.
and then
she
she
said they're
did
not
some
normal.
shit and
Separated.
split. Yeah, because one is definitely different than the other. And I
Because
think
maybe it was supposed to be like Anakin, but
Yes.
instead of it being like
you
Anakin,
split
they
the one
split
guy.
it. So you got your good side and your bad
Bad
side
side.
separated.
And then also, when you split them, you split the power.
Right.
So we're going to keep it as one child.
because
in
if not, it's
Anakin-
too much power.
No, we want that. We want
No.
Anakin to have the power, all of it.
Right,
Because
right,
we
right, right.
split the twins. So if it is Plagueis, Plagueis knows that the power was split between two.
It didn't work out. Or
It would-
It's not as strong as he could. make
right,
it
but
with
if
one.
I keep it all in one, this little boy, then I'll get something even more powerful to bring the Jedi down.
Well, I don't think he was the. I think Palpatine.
Palpatine, yes,
Right,
yes,
right,
yes.
right. But yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if, like, at some point, like, see like one of the twins, like, I don't know, like in a cloning vat somewhere, just bobbing up and down or
Well, the
whatever.
cool thing is too, is that like I just looked at the book to see what people were talking about. They're saying that Plagueis died in 32 BBY for this show, which means that an Insidious took over and was running for Palpatine everything in episode 1 in 52. So he is still around and kicking, looking for all of that information for immortality while this is happening. It lines up extremely well.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, it said this series happens 100 years before what?
It's 132 years.
Before the.
It's
Galactic
132
Empire.
BBY.
Right.
So 132 years before the Battle of Yavin, 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So yeah.
So that
when
means
was
that Sheev Palpatine.
when was Sheev born? He's
But again, I don't know
You
that
gotta
we
think
have
in
canon
50
in that.
It is
Oh.
if they pulled the source from books. So
Not all the books are canon.
not all the books are canon. But
That's part of the problem.
So
Right.
I'm kind of just
So,
saying like what they
Unless
pulled
there's
from
something
this,
concrete
because
in a canon
Plagueis was
book somewhere.
alive to arrange for his apprentice to become the senator of Naboo
Mhm.
and the rest of the Crummel sector, with him being elected in 52 BBY.
So when Palpatine tells Anakin about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis, that wasn't
that
an
long
old
ago.
story, right? That
It
wasn't.
was not an old
That was like,
story.
20-30
that was
years
like
ago.
last weekend. The tragedy of Darth Plagueis happened in his
Right.
apartment, like 2 blocks from here.
Right.
And I'm gonna have to figure out what the actual reference was that
Ooh.
they
Yeah,
used.
We got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap it up. All right.
All right.
Anybody have anything else? Any
No.
predictions for next week?
All right.
Predictions for next week for the Acolyte.
Hopefully it's not a flashback.
Hopefully it's not a flashback. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. As always, we do love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with us. course, we're going to do some obligatory pimping. Please check us out online everywhere at the SSW Show. That's on all social media channels. Follow us on, Facebook, YouTube. Listen to the podcast on your favorite podcast network, wherever you like to get your podcast from. And as always, tune in next week. And remember, if no one does anything nice for you, do something nice to yourself. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Gary, thank you for joining us. Sherry, thank you for joining us. Daddy Lou, thank you for hosting us in your home.
All right.
That's awesome. And, of course, T to the Oni, thank you for coming out from parts unknown to join us on the show.
Happy to be here.
All right, and hopefully the audio doesn't suck.
It'll be fine.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.